For centuries, people have asked the same question: when will Jesus come back? Generation after generation has watched, wondered and waited. Some have set dates and been wrong. Others have dismissed the idea altogether. But the Bible gives us a different approach. Jesus himself said that no one knows the exact day or hour of his return, but he also told his followers to watch for the signs. And when you look at the signs recorded in Scripture and compare them to what's happening in our world right now, the answer becomes impossible to ignore. The signs point to one conclusion: his return is soon. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives and described what the world would look like before his return. He spoke of wars and rumors of wars. He warned of famines, earthquakes, and pestilences. He said lawlessness would increase and the love of many would grow cold. He also promised that the gospel would be preached to all nations, and then the end would come. He compared these events to birth pains. Just as contractions grow closer together and more intense before a birth, so too would these signs increase in frequency and severity as the end approaches. The Apostle Paul echoed this in 1 Thessalonians 5, saying the day of the Lord would come like a thief in the night, catching the world off guard. But for believers who are watching, it should not come as a surprise. When we examine our world today, it's hard not to notice how many of these signs are unfolding before our eyes. Wars and rumors of wars. Our news feeds are filled with reports of escalating conflicts, nuclear threats, and unrest in multiple regions at once. Famines and earthquakes. Natural disasters have increased dramatically over the last century, both in number and intensity. Entire regions face food shortages and humanitarian crises on a scale never seen before. Pestilences. A global pandemic recently shut down economies, grounded travel, and reminded the world just how fragile life can be. Lawlessness increasing. Around the globe, traditional moral foundations are being shaken. Violence, corruption, and division seem to dominate headlines. Love for one another is often replaced with hatred, suspicion, and self-interest. And perhaps most striking of all, the gospel is now being preached to the ends of the earth. Thanks to modern technology, satellite broadcasts, online platforms, and Bible translation efforts, nearly every language group on earth now has access to the good news of Jesus Christ. What was unimaginable 100 years ago is now happening daily. One of the most remarkable prophetic signs concerns the nation of Israel. The Old Testament prophets, especially Ezekiel in chapter 37, spoke of a time when God would regather his people to their land after centuries of dispersion. In 1948, against all odds, Israel was reborn as a nation. This single event fulfilled prophecy that had seemed impossible for nearly 2 millennia. Jesus referred to the budding of the fig tree in Matthew 24. When you see all these things, know that it is near, right at the door. The rebirth of Israel marked a prophetic turning point that many scholars believe signals we are living in the final generation before his return. The pieces are falling into place rapidly. Technological advancements now make possible the kind of global communication and control systems described in Revelation. Economic and political instability are preparing the world for major change. Jesus warned that these days would come suddenly, like a trap closing. Yet he also encouraged his followers not to fear, but to stay alert. We are not called to set dates, but to live with expectancy, hope, and readiness. So when will Jesus return? We can't mark it on a calendar, but the signs tell us clearly, soon. In Luke 21:28, Jesus said, "When these things begin to happen, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near." The signs are not meant to terrify us, but to remind us that God's promises are trustworthy, and his timeline is unfolding exactly as foretold. The return of Jesus is not a distant theory. It's a coming reality. The question is, are you ready? If this message encouraged you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs hope. Let's be watchful together as we await his glorious return.